Brotherhood and a friend of the deposed president. Welcome to you both. How would you describe what happened in Cairo yesterday, or in Egypt yesterday? A military coup?
A lot of people are debating it, but I think, on the surface it definitely appears as that. But the fact that a lot of the opposition forces were all involved in the drafting of this new roadmap proposed by the army makes it debatable.
And in your view, was it something that was given birth to, if you like, by popular opinion, by the mood on the streets, by demonstrations?
Definitely. So the signature drive driven by Tomorrow collected 22 million signatures, superseding the 13 million votes that Morsi was sworn in as president. Proves this and exemplifies this fact. I think, and the fact that it was the biggest demonstrations in history of mankind reported on the 30th of June further reinforces that.
So, Mr. Tamimi, an expression of popular will, do you think?
Well, the only credible expression of public will is the ballot box. In any human society, when people have political disputes, you either resolve these disputes in a civilized manner by going to the ballot box and accept what the ballot box returns, or you seek the intervention of the army, as happened yesterday in Egypt.
I mean, President Morsi did win the election, didn't he?
He did, but again, we say that this was democracy, but a lot of vote rigging took place, and
but I think generally international bodies watching the election.
Yes.
Do accept that he won. There may have been some abnormalities, as there often are in elections, but basically he did win.
Yes, he did. He did. But abuse of the ignorant masses, vote buying took place, and that has been reported. So whether we call that democracy, I don't know. Let's do it.
What do you say? I mean, do you think it is just the ignorant masses being abused?
Well, that's very insulting to the Egyptian masses. I mean, one shouldn't ever use such an argument. President Morsi should have been given the opportunity to rule for 4 years. And if the opposition were so sure about their popularity, they could have gone back to the ballot box. There was supposed to be a parliamentary election after Ramadan in September.
But isn't he also slightly to blame, in as much as when you're elected, you come obviously from one side or another in a political argument. When you're elected, you're meant to govern for the whole country. And there was the feeling that he was making his country more Islamist and excluding, if you like, more progressive elements.
Well, that's not true, but I don't dispute, and I cannot dispute the fact that there is a substantial number of Egyptians who didn't like Morsi, didn't vote for him. That's true. I mean, the Egyptian people were divided.
Did he govern for them? That's my question.
Yes, but you see, the real problem, and here we need to have the facts right, because history is going to record this. Since he took office, President Morsi could not do much in the country because the police was against him. The army was against him. The judges who were appointed by Hosni Mubarak were against him, and they thwarted every attempt on his part to reform the system. Now, they've even reinstating now officials who were known to be Mubarak's men. They're bringing them back to the system. And that's why the innocent people who opposed Morsi and took to the squares are going to realize very soon that it was a grave mistake. They made a grave mistake. You don't go to the army and ask the army to intervene. That's bad. Not only that, they open a window for foreign intervention. I mean, look at the congratulations where they come from the leaders of the UAE, the leaders of Saudi Arabia, and the leaders of Damascus.
Okay, but I mean, this is a problem which, if you like, progressive people, not just in Egypt, but across the Middle East have, which is that when elections take place, the people who end up getting elected, one thinks of the splits in Palestine or Lebanon or elsewhere, people who win are not often much to the taste of Western-style progressives, are they?
Yes, I think that Morsi was a prime example of that, definitely much so.
So what's the solution? Because we in the West have been saying, well, the answer is democracy, but then we get the result, we don't like it.
Well, the answer is exactly what the opposition have been calling for, is an incorporative technocratic government, which is hopefully what is going to, I'm positive will happen now. We're all positive and looking forward to a new Egypt, as the revolution now is really in continuing force.
What do you think? Because, I mean, democracy has actually in a sense, benefited conservative forces in many countries in the Middle East.
You see, there's the problem of how we resolve our disputes. We have disagreements, we have different visions for life. Okay, how do we live together if we cannot agree on a mechanism that we respect? President Morsi agreed to most of the things that the general yesterday spoke about in his coup statement. Yet, the opposition didn't want Morsi. The opposition was going for the Muslim Brotherhood. That's why immediately after the statement of the coup army, of the coup leader was finished, the Islamist channels were taken off the air. Islamic leaders of the Muslim Brotherhood were immediately being purchased and pursued to be detained. Several of them have already been detained. This is a return to despotism, to dictatorship.
What do you think should be done with the Muslim Brotherhood?
There was a reason, I have to, in response to what you've just said, I have to say that this was a reaction to the violence that was being incited by the Islamist demonstrators in Rabaa al-Adawiyya, by a mosque in Cairo University, and Mohammed Morsi's statement that he would shed his own blood should a coup occur. Now, basically proposing and instigating and inciting a civil war. So, of course, the army had to take preventative measures.
You need to be fair. Who has been the victims of violence? It was the Muslim Brotherhood. They've been attacked. Their headquarters, offices have been torched. Their members have been attacked. There wasn't a single attack by the Muslim Brotherhood on anybody else. What Morsi meant is that he would defend legitimacy even if he were to be killed. He didn't say, go and kill the others. He stood for the principle. And you see, in our lives, what really matters is the principle. It doesn't really matter that Morsi has lost his position or the Muslim Brotherhood have lost power. It doesn't matter. What matters is to stand up for the principle. The principle is that legitimacy lies with the people and not with the army.
But what legitimacy, when we look at the drafting of the constitution, where was the legitimacy in that? It was drafted by a completely Islamist.
That was a perfectly democratic process. There was a referendum and people were called to participate. Some people boycotted, some people participated.
What do you know now about President Morsi, or former President Morsi, where he is, how he's being treated?
Very little. There are controversial reports about where he is. And some say he is in a certain safe place. Some say he is under detention, so we don't know really.
Thank you both very much.
Thank you.